What the listeners at home don't realize is that Craig just made an edit right here because I had too much Dr. Pepper and I had to pay.
That's going to start the show.
Okay. Do you love to travel?
Do you love road trips?
Do you love finding hidden treasures in towns all over the USA? Hi, I'm Joshua.
And I'm Craig. Welcome to Treasures of Our Town. It's the podcast that explores unique and charming towns scattered throughout the United States.
Guided by our love for location-based games like geocaching, join us as we venture into some of the country's most intriguing destinations, uncovering hidden gems and local secrets along the way.
On today's episode, Josh, this is part two of Potpourri, Potpourri, whatever you want to say, of all our patrons. All our patrons, Josh, they reached out to us again. They enjoyed it, and we have to finish.
Yes.
We have to finish what we started.
Yes,
we ran out of time.
Potpourri is such a delicious smell, and this is hopefully just a wonderful sweetness to your ears as you listen to our potpourri of questions from the patrons.
Yes, exactly right. And before we get to that though, Josh, again, as always, delays and upgrades, mate. Do you want to start with that, or?
Craig, yes, I will start. And on this podcast, we don't talk about the weather.
No, I know.
But I'm going to because it's connected to my delay. This evening, as of the recording of this, we're now in December, right? And here in the Northland, we're in the teens Fahrenheit.
Is that what you meant by teens last night? I thought you meant as in teenagers were invading your house.
Well, that happened too. That actually happened too. My nephew and my niece were here. But that's not a delay. I always enjoy it when they visit. But no, we're in the teens as far as temperature. It's getting cold here in Minnesota, which has me itching already to get out of here.
Yes.
Just get out of here.
Head south.
Exactly.
They fly south in the winter. But meanwhile, Josh, though, as well, see, a lot of people don't understand, but in Australia, we have, how there's 4 seasons every year. Well, that's divided up in Australia, it's divided up into 3 months. You see, so the 1st of December is the first of summer in Australia. I see. So we don't do the equinox thing like you guys do here. It kind of makes sense what you do here in regards to the equinox and how your systems are, in place. Whereas in Australia, it's 3 months, the first of every month, the first of that month, the first of the month. So that's how it works. So
that makes a lot of sense. What's crazy is it's not even winter here.
No, I know. That's what I mean.
December 22nd. So it's not even winter, and I'm already wanting to get out of this state.
And it's already summer in Australia. Exactly right. So there you go. What's it going to be like for you in January, mate? February?
Oh, it's going to be bad. And we certainly have to escape. And I know you have some adventures ahead of you, I'm sure.
Yes.
So do I. And that's a part of my that's actually part of my upgrade. So I'm going to roll right into my upgrade.
What's your upgrade?
This is actually an upgrade / announcement for both you and I.
Yes, it is.
It is official. We will be going to the Texas Challenge mega event / block party event on the weekend of March 15th and 16th. We'll actually be there between the 13th and the 16th. Yeah. But this is the oldest mega ever. Like, this is the oldest mega. Like, this is the first mega. The first mega that ever was created was in Texas. Yes. And so this is the big 25th anniversary celebration, the 23rd time they've done the Texas Challenge. And I'm excited because it's in a little town called Floresville, Texas. It is 45 minutes outside of San Antonio, which we have talked about on this podcast. I love visiting San Antonio, but Floresville is a nice town of 8,000 people. That's perfect. There are going to be so many hidden treasures there that we're going to unearth and discover.
Uncover. Exactly. Meanwhile, if we're both going to be there, that means we're going to do some sort of video, etc., and maybe even a podcast or two episode on too. So keep your eyes and ears out for that one. And Josh, I've already got an idea for the actual the edit of the video too.
Oh,
we might do. You know the TV show. I'll give it away. You know the TV show like Storage Wars, that sort of show.
Yes, I know that show.
what about cash wars? Where because it's a challenge, you see, you think about
Yes.
it. I can get like 5 or 6 different people who are doing the challenge individually,
Yes.
and if I can get some footage of them, and if I can get some interviews with them as well, I can then do the edit, Josh. So it's like storage wars, but cash wars, and then you don't find the actual total winner until the very end of the show. See, so that's not a bad idea.
I like that idea. We're gonna have to get these 5 people. We're gonna have to let them share their location on their
Yes.
phone so we can
Yeah.
chase them down. So
Exactly
they'll
right.
be hunting for caches and we'll be hunting for them. And I'll be this kind of like the host.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I will and we'll feature Floresville, the
Mhm.
city, and we'll feature the event. And yes,
Yeah.
of course, we will do a podcast as well. But anyway, this is sort of
Perfect.
I know you have other Southern travels ahead of
Mhm.
you, but
Mhm.
for me, this is going to be probably my first chance to get out of Minnesota, and I'm
Yeah.
very excited about it. And
Mhm.
so, thank you, all the folks that are planning Texas Challenge. Take a look at the web page for the Texas Challenge. I
Yes.
wish I had I don't have the GC number. We'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
But they have a great week of events planned as they celebrate the big 23rd/25th anniversary of geocaching.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Yeah, I'll be already down there. I'll be amongst it anyway, Josh. So,
Perfect.
yeah, I like the warmth. I like the warmth. So,
Mhm.
meanwhile, mate, my upgrade. I'll start with my upgrade first, and that is Thanksgiving happened between these the last couple of episodes, and
Yes.
you know what? It was my third one. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and why not let Thanksgiving be an upgrade for everyone out there? That's what I'll say.
Mhm.
Spending time with family, friends, eating some good food, cooking some good food. I'm the cook, Josh, so I cook some good food
Love it.
along with my mother-in-law as well. So helping her out in the kitchen, it was great times to had, and just even after you have that big lunch, watching like 2 or 3 people just literally doze off on the couch. That's great. Your job's done when
Yes.
that happens. That whole calmness, this no stress.
Mhm. Yes.
We need more of that in everyone's lives, I think. So yeah. So that was my
Yeah.
upgrade. Just Thanksgiving in general.
Craig, so you don't have Thanksgiving, obviously, in Australia.
No,
Like,
no.
what do you've experienced a lot of our holidays. Like,
Mhm.
what do you think of Thanksgiving? Do you think it's like, yeah, this is a good holiday? I mean,
It's it's it's
I
a
think
it
you're
is
saying
it's
yes.
yeah, absolutely. It's a good holiday for what a holiday is, and that is just to literally take time out,
Mhm.
stop, think, be thankful, and enjoy. What you actually have around you, family and friends and food. You know what I mean? And because let's be honest with Josh, because there's some people out there who don't have any of that sort of stuff too. So
Yeah.
for those that don't, try and work on some sort of way in order to make that occur. Make some connections. Seek
Mhm.
out some help and seek out some people. So for me, Thanksgiving is a very much a deep thought process of a holiday, as opposed to like Halloween or Christmas or Easter, any of those other types. For me, Thanksgiving is different again. That's only what I've learned in the last 3 years.
Yeah, I really appreciate Thanksgiving because as far as American holidays goes, it doesn't have as much pressure around it. If you think about
No,
it, a lot of our other holidays, there's a lot of pressure around it.
yeah,
And this is just about, yeah, like you said, enjoying a meal. There's
hmm
not, I mean, gratitude is all a positive thing. Gratitude is like
yes,
very important in our
yeah,
lives. So,
yeah.
yeah, I am a big fan of Thanksgiving as well. And so I'm really, it's really challenging for me to consider skipping it next year as
Oh,
as I am
yeah, you are.
to Las Vegas by the Geocaching Podcast because they're going to do the ET Highway on
Yes.
Thanksgiving. So that's tough. That's tough. It's tough to say to my family, you know what? I'm going to go hang out in the desert during Thanksgiving and not be with you, but we'll see
That's
what happens.
That's the reason why I always say it's good to reflect and be thankful for family and friends. You see, so you can family
Mhm.
and friends. It's the friends. Next year it could be the friends component as opposed to the family component
This
that it
is
was
true.
this year. So
This is
I'm
true.
only putting I'm putting little twigs on the fire, Josh. That's all I'm
Yeah,
doing. So.
I hear it.
Meanwhile, my delay, Josh, is that I'm
Mhm.
starting to strip down my car. When I say strip it down, I mean strip it of all the extra things that I've put in it, like for the camper van sort of style.
Yeah.
So I'm taking off the roof mount stuff. I'm taking out the electricity. I'm taking out all that because I'm going to sell it next week to more of a dealer sort of thing. So it's a less of a price, but it is what it is. It is what it is. So
Yeah.
it's an easy way to get rid of it done, and I'm not actually putting any hassle on anyone else if any other issues occur with it too. So I'd hate to sell it to someone, Josh. and then buy it, then have all hassles too. So I'd rather just go through a dealer and let the dealer sort it out.
Yeah, let them deal with it.
Exactly, their business.
And they know what they're getting.
Of
And
course.
dealerships too. They have resources, like most dealerships have a mechanic shop in there, so they can fix it for so much more than any individual would do.
Exactly.
So that's a delay, but you know what? I think it's also kind of a little bit of an upgrade because you're going to finally get that thing off your hands.
Exactly right. And that's just before next week. I will fly out to Arizona to pick up the new van. The new van's already got a name and everything, Josh. It's her name. It's a her. This one. Her name's Tuesday. So there you go.
I'm so excited for you. That's really amazing.
Yes.
The journey begins.
Exactly. All right, Josh, do you want to get a start on this? Do you want to discuss about what potpourri is again, or do you want to skip that?
Yes, potpourri. Again, we will define it for you. The dictionary says potpourri is a mixture of dried petals and spices placed in a bowl or a small sack to perfume clothing or in a room. So today we hope to perfume your ears with the beautiful sounds of answering the questions from our patrons. We did this on the last episode, and we're going to continue now. It's just a variety. It's a mishmash of questions, travel related, and it bleeds into geocaching, which of course is also what this podcast is about. And we know that according to Good Pods, we are the number one geocaching podcast in the world.
This year, exactly right. So thank you very much to Good Pods for their support. All right, Josh, I'm going to get into the first one, and the first one for this episode is from Alison Bertman, and she goes straight into. Let's go straight into the geocaching. She wants to go straight into the caches.
Yes,
she says, what about getting some talk about West Virginia Tim's geocaches, and also Geo Woodstock for 2020 or 2025? So Geo Woodstock next year as well. Have you done any of the gadget caches themselves? And also, what about West Virginia's oldest? Because you have to do that via ATVs to get there. The all-terrain.
That sounds like a lot of fun, actually. So the questions around West Virginia Tim. So if you're not a geocacher, which there's probably a few of them out there, West Virginia Tim is a very prolific geocache hider. He's hidden many geocaches in Martinsville, West Virginia. And there's some of the best geocaches out there. Certainly one of the best series of geocaches out there because they are gadget caches, which if you don't know what a gadget cache, it's a cache that is easy to find, but there's a little trick to get into it. There's a little field puzzle to get into it. And so there are several in the West Virginia area. And because Geo Woodstock this May is happening in West Virginia, Allison is asking, is this worth it? Should we take some time to find West Virginia's Tim's geocaches?
Because they are about an hour and a half away from the actual Geo Woodstock itself as well. So, I mean, you could either go there, before or after Geo Woodstock itself. I always say, and I'm an advocate for Geo Woodstock in terms of the actual day, the Saturday, which Geo Woodstock. Rule out anything. Don't go anywhere. Go to the Geo Woodstock and that's it. Stay on site. Listen to our podcast. It's going to be recorded live on air, etc. Stuff like that too. So, there's plenty to do on site, and I suggest people always stay on site as much as they can for Geo Woodstock itself. But the days leading up to it, Josh, you can get like a flavor taste of geocaching, etc. as you go through West Virginia and do West Virginia Tim's caches. I always do this anyway, normally, and so do you. I learned from you actually. And that is sort by favorite points, Josh.
Yes.
Put a minimum on your list of, say, literally, if you're in West Virginia, 100 favorite points is a minimum, and you will still get a good chunk of caches, just saying. So, because some of these gadgets, Josh, they take a long time to do when you're there.
They take a bit.
Yeah. Have you done a few of these at all? Or?
Yeah, I've done a handful of West Virginia Tim's caches. I haven't done all of them. I actually just looked at there's actually a geo tour. There's actually an official geo tour that is connected with several of West Virginia Tim's caches. But one of the things about West Virginia Tim's caches is that they're really well done. They're well maintained. They're sturdy and they're well built. Yes. I have never done a West Virginia Tim cache and thought, boy, this one is really going downhill. He does such a great job Great job
Yeah.
making them constructed so well.
Yes.
And what I really love about them is that as you do several of them, you kind of get into the mind of Tim. And
Yes.
as you do them, they almost kind of get easier because Tim is very much thinks outside the box.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so, but he has a style, and you're like, okay, I am now in the mind of West Virginia Tim, and that is a really fun and beautiful place to be.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I enjoyed them. The variety, like there's
Mm-hmm.
no cache that is the same,
Mm-hmm.
while they have like a similar as far as like style of how they are
Yeah.
created, like sturdy, and they're all like a little bit different, which is really really a lot of fun. Have you done them?
Yes,
Greg?
yeah, I've done quite a few of them as well. I did them when I first came over here for a whole day myself, and great caches. Danny and Danny took me out, and we did a whole heap of West Virginia Tim's caches that they loved, and so it was good for me because they were on site with me. So if I did actually need a hand or a hint in a direction, that they could show me. So I never got frustrated with them. You see, so some of them can be a little bit daunting. You have to read a lot. You have to sort of get in there. But in saying that as well, I find where he's placed them, a lot of the people, like in terms of the so-called muggles, know already about them. They know about geocaching, and some of them around businesses. Then businesses have actually allowed to have it out there, and they're proud to actually have the geocache in their parking lot or whatever, and they take care of that cache as well. So, I mean, I think one of my fun find ones was it was a really nice constructed, like letterbox sort of style birdhouse, and it was in the exact shape and color and everything as the bank in which it was in the parking lot of the bank. It had the bank's handwriting on the front. It had the stickers of the bank around it as well. So it was decorated as the bank. So it's like a mini bank. But what you had to do for this one, Josh, is you had these two little prongs that come out the side, and you had to attach your battery to your car to these. And if you attach them the correct way, the aerial comes up from the chimney area, and out pops the little logbook you see from the top. And then you swap them over, and it goes back down. So just simple things like that sometimes are fantastic. So
yeah, I've done that one as well. I actually have a video of that one. That's fantastic. And you're right. There's I remember there's another one, and they're all birdhouses usually, because he just feels like that's a great way to disguise a geocache. And one was like at a State Farm insurance place, and again he painted it the birdhouse to look like a State Farm, like a good neighbor.
Exactly. But while you're there as well, and you're going to and you're doing those caches, don't forget with Geo Woodstock, there's the Cache Across America one, Josh, right around the corner from Geo Woodstock as well.
Oh,
in
really?
Morgantown. Yes. Have you done that one at all? The West Virginia
I have
one?
not. Nope, I haven't done that one.
It is a beautiful. I've got a video of that one, Josh. Yes, I have a video of that one.
We'll put them in the show notes.
Finally, I can say it. I can actually say I've got a video rather than just you. The West Virginia Cache Across America is an absolutely stunning walk. It is a bit of a walk. Get some length there to it. But where you end up, you don't just end up with this humongous, like a larger than life ammo can. Like it is a big ammo can sort of size. But you end up on this outcropping and overlooking this beautiful canyon, because they say West Virginia, it's the mountains and the valleys, and you end up on top of this mountain overlooking this beautiful valley, and it's just absolutely stunning. So don't forget the Cache Across America, West Virginia, while you're there. And then they talk about as well, Alison spoke about the oldest in West Virginia, and that one there is in regards to the ATV rides. Now, I do believe the people who are running Geo Woodstock are organising, Josh. They're organising for those people who want to do it to be able to hire these all-terrain vehicles from a particular location and a place. And even if you can't drive one, you can be driven by one there as well, or team up with other people. So go on and check their website. Again, links in the description. But geowoodstockxxi.com is their website. Make sure you go and check out their website, and all the details are on their website. And don't forget as well, make sure you click your will attend, because this is going to be a huge event. Not many more people need to be on the log now, Josh, either before it goes to the big G word, the big Giga.
The second ever Giga event, possibly in America. And that's where we met for the first time. Remember that moment? It was beautiful. It was a beautiful moment.
It was not for that many people around us. Everyone around us was looking with strange eyes. But apart from that, that's okay.
Yeah, they were weird. They were a little weirded out. But yeah, Allie. So I think you've got something to look forward to if you want to get that oldest one. To me, it's a little intimidating to like, I've never actually driven an ATV. So it would be nice to go with somebody, depending on your experience, because people can like flip these things over and they're
Oh,
not
yeah.
always,
Oh,
but it'd be
yeah.
nice to be able to go with somebody that knows something about an ATV instead of
See,
just doing this on your own.
I find that this could just, Josh, this could just be a smaller version of you, me, and Tim when we did the geocache in
Yes.
Arizona recently as well, where we were in that Jeep and we were like almost rock. What do you call it? Rock climbing or rock hopping in that Jeep.
Yes.
Rock scrambling, whatever they
I
call it.
don't
I
know.
don't.
Yeah, something.
Yeah,
Whatever the term is for jeeping through
jeeping.
rocks. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the term.
But yeah, that's what I feel like it could be, but on a smaller version, smaller scale. So
Yeah, we
maybe
might.
Tim could be our driver.
Yeah, Allie, we might need to do that with you. And I have another thing, just of note
Yeah,
about the West Virginia Tim
of course.
geocaches. I did take a look at the GeoTour page
Mm-hmm.
on geocaching.com, and the original GeoTour had 66 caches.
Okay.
Currently, right now, a lot of them are disabled or archived,
Oh,
which I just have some curiosity around that. I don't know if they're listed. Maybe you know the answer to this question, Tim or
mhm,
Craig. If they're listed on the GeoTour page and some are disabled, and you
mhm.
don't necessarily, if you find all the ones that are currently active, do you still get the souvenir?
Oh,
I don't
that's
know.
I don't know that either. I haven't got an answer for you for that one either.
Yeah, I don't know. So
Yeah.
anyway, my tip for you, Allie, is take a look at the GeoTour if that's important to you to complete it. But I would also just search Tim's name and just look at Tim's caches, West
Yeah.
Virginia Tim's caches, because there are probably a lot of good ones that
Mhm.
he has hidden that aren't on the GeoTour. And then
That's true.
I would sort them by favorite points.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. All right, we're gonna move on now, Josh, to our next one. Now, after our last episode, this person reached back out to us, Josh, and he said, we're talking about Juan Michael Tula. He said, I like how Craig tried to pronounce my name in the latest episode. Josh, I know you love pop culture, so maybe you can tell him about the actor I was named after. Do you know
And
that?
the actor that you were named after?
No, that he was named after Juan Michael Tula. What actor? Juan Michael Tula, Juan Michael Vincent, sorry, who
Oh.
played Stringfellow Hawk in the show Airwolf.
Oh, in Airwolf.
Airwolf. He was
All
named
right.
after that.
Yes. I wasn't a big, I remember watching Airwolf as a child, but I
Mhm.
wasn't a huge fan. But yeah, he's named after, an actor from Airwolf.
There you go. So how do I pronounce his name? I pronounced it wrong. I attempted to.
I don't know,
Is
actually.
it
I
Juan?
still
Is it
don't know.
Juan? Jan?
Jan? Jan?
Jan
Maybe Jan.
Michael Tula. Maybe
Jan.
Jan Michael Tula.
We're gonna mess up again, and he's gonna
I
send us
know.
another email.
He really will. That's good. That's good though. More encouragement. More reaching out. It's good. It's good. So there you go. Anyway, Jan, Juan, Jan, whatever you
Jan.
like to be called. he asks, what are your favorite city, country, or state featured scavenger hunt or trails or crawls? Now he says, caveat. Doesn't have to be related to groundspeak, freeze tag games, or any location based games. For example, he did the Lunches and Lagers tour in the Space Coast, which is the home of obviously Dale and Barb from Space Coast
Yeah.
Geocaching store. But yeah, he did that one. So do you have any, Josh, that you've done as a tour that's not actually related to geocaching or any mobile
Yeah.
game base
Yeah,
at
he
all?
he gave us a follow-up on the email about this. So he called on a couple that I was about to say. So yeah, the last episode I talked about the Thomas Dambo stuff. Those are
Mm-hmm.
considered, trails, or they're considered tours in different
Yes.
cities. Like,
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
thought the Thomas Dambo trolls would be a good example of this.
Mm-hmm.
Another
Yeah.
one I thought of that is now retired, but sometimes state tourism agencies, they create their own sort of tours to explore their
That's
state.
right. Yes.
And so several years ago, I did this like 3 different times. There were in our state, there was this tour called Checkpoint Minnesota, where they had these signs
Mm-hmm.
that were next to these checkpoint signs next to significant things in Minnesota. And what you did is you took a picture of yourself at the place. So it was kind of like a virtual. You
Yep.
uploaded it to the website, and every photo of yourself that you uploaded to the website, you got points. And then you
Mhm.
could redeem these points in like essentially a store, and I got like nice Columbia boots. I got jackets. I got backpacks. So these companies sponsored this, and so the more of these checkpoints you found, the more points you got, and thus I got some really nice prizes.
That's really
So
cool.
it's no more, unfortunately, but I think a lot of states or cities have these incentives for visiting different things in their towns.
Yeah, exactly. And if you need to know more, if you go to a town or a city or whatever, more towns than cities, if you go to their visitor center, they normally have a visitor center. If you go to the visitor center, they'll tell you if they've got like some sort of tour of sorts, or B, they'll just give you the best places to eat and to drink and to see things. So places you wouldn't ordinarily go. So there you go. Myself, Josh, I always enjoy anything to do with food or drink, like beer,
Yeah.
etc. So I love a brewery tour. I really
Yes.
love brewery tours. Now I've been to several brewery tours. One was in Flagstaff, Arizona, this year. We've got brewery tours here as well in New Jersey. But I do love, again, through the app, and I know it's a phone app and we shouldn't be talking about phone apps because that's what he asked, but Untapped has a brewery tours sometimes in Untapped as well that come out randomly too. So keep your eye out for that sort of stuff. But I love a brewery tour, Josh. I really do.
And yes. And he mentioned like looking for ones that don't relate to geocaching or Munzie. However, a lot of these tours cross. So a lot of these tours, and I have a perfect example of that it's a tour without geocaching, without anything, or without Adventure Labs, but also you can complete the tour outside of that. So the one in Flagstaff, for example, I think it's connected to actually a website. So it was an Adventure Lab, but it was also something that they just set up themselves. So another example of that is the famous Butler County Donut Trail.
Of course.
Which used to be an official geotour, but I looked at their website. It is still a tour that they do. And, if even when it was a geocaching tour, if you completed all the donut shops, you got a t-shirt. So they have kept that going. So it's no longer a geotour, but they have also kept the fact that if you visit all those donut places, you get a t-shirt.
Well, that's another crossover that we did in that case then as well, Josh, with the pizza tour that we did.
Yes,
because again, you don't have to be a geocacher to do the pizza tour and get a T-shirt.
Yes.
If you were a geocacher, you got a T-shirt and you got a coin, a geocoin. So you get 2 for 1 deal. So that's another one that's the same sort of thing. Yeah, they cross over, and because they cross over so nicely too. Let's be honest.
They do.
They really do. So there you go. Thank you, Juan, Michael, Jan, Michael. I don't know anyone else. But anyway, Josh, we're going to move on now to a good friend of both of ours too, Andy Zook.
Yes.
You know Andy.
I know Andy.
Andy, he says, I like movie location episodes I like movie locations first. He says, any episodes that you've done about visiting the real Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, check out how they've embraced not just the movie, but all about Groundhog Day. So he wants to us to talk about movie locations, Josh, too. So,
well, yeah, it wasn't really a question. He asked us a question.
Yeah.
It was like, actually, it was like, how about visiting Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania? And I'm like, yeah, I want to do it. So yes, I would really love to visit the real Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, and experience the real Groundhog Day. I would love to do that. And here's the thing about Andy. Andy is in the entertainment industry.
He is.
So I that just gave me a great idea. We love talking. Let's do a whole episode. We love talking about movie locations or television show locations. And he has probably been a part of productions where he's actually been to some of these places. So I think we should have Andy on the show at some point.
Well, there you go, Andy. You heard it here first, mate, before we even reach out to you, that we're going to have you on the show come early 2025. Absolutely, we're going to get him on the show. Well, I mean, we did have Dave Barsky from Dirty Jobs.
Oh, yes.
He was on the show too, Josh. And he, again, same thing. He spoke to us in regards to his favorite locations of filming locations and why they were good locations outside of geocaching, which is great, which is really, really cool. Mate, I would love to go to the real Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania as well. We've got, again, another good friend of both of ours, Josh, as well, Dan Truckenmiller, the Truck. He lives in Watsontown, and he's a patron as well. And Watsontown is about 2 hours drive east. So if I was to see him again, then, yeah, I could easily just go 2 hours east and see this Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania as well.
It's probably difficult to get a hotel anywhere near there during Groundhog Day. So we might have to sleep on Dan's farm 2 hours away and get up at like 3 a.m. and head over there.
That wouldn't be hard to do because obviously the rooster, cock-a-doodle-doo at 5 a.m. So
exactly,
if you sleep through your alarm, then you'll be woken up early anyway. It also reminded me, Josh, as well, of my recent trip when I was in the UK. I know it's outside the US, but I love the TV show Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso, it's on Apple TV. It is a fantastic, and it's really a wholesome TV show, this one, Josh. If you haven't seen it, absolutely, it's a must-watch for me. And a quick rundown is that it's an American guy, and he goes over to the UK to coach a soccer team in which he's got no idea about what soccer's about. And the woman who owns the soccer team, she wants to run the soccer team into the ground because it's her ex-husband's team. And so that's why she hires him. Push comes to shove, he does a really good job, surprisingly, and it's a really good, feel-good sort of TV show. But the whole show, Josh, the entire show was filmed in one little area, one place called Richmond in the UK, like a little Richmond town. And so I did a tour with a tour guide around Richmond, and mate, it was fantastic. This tour guide knew everything. Well, she calls herself a TED head because it's Ted Lasso, so she's a TED head. She knew every particular location, which episode was filmed at which location, and which scene even. Do you remember when they went down in the sewers here? And it's how they faked a sewer drain as well, because they didn't have sewer drains like that in the UK. They faked a sewer drain as well. So things like that as well for me personally. It's not about the caching. It's not about the Munzie. It's more about getting outside and enjoying, learning about how things are made on TV on the big screen too. So yeah, I really enjoyed that one. Ted Lasso. If you haven't seen it, you got to see that one, Josh.
Oh, I've seen the first season, but then my Apple TV's expired. I need to get back into it because I really do enjoy. I did enjoy that show.
You did the 60-day free trial, didn't you?
Exactly.
Fair enough. What are some of your fun ones, Josh?
Yeah. So most of the locations that I've been to, I've already talked about on the show, but I'm gonna list a few that I haven't been to that I would like to visit. So the Back to the Future shooting locations, I have visited Doc's house. I visited the Lone Pine Twin Pine Mall. So those are two locations I have visited. However, there's lots of other places around there that I haven't visited. I haven't visited Marty's house. I haven't visited Biff's house. There's also I believe a school where you can walk in where they filmed the Enchantment Under the Sea dance. So these are all in Hollywood, and I would love to take a full tour of all the Back to the Future sites. And then the other one is the Karate Kid, which you and I visited that mural in, I think, Encino, California.
That's right.
But I would love to visit the apartment. I would love to. There's lots of other places I'd like to visit with the Karate Kid. Brownsville, Oregon. Have you seen the movie Stand By Me?
With
Stephen King. Yes.
Yeah.
With River Phoenix and the guy, Wesley Crusher. I can't remember his name. Who's actually a geocacher.
Was that found in Brownsville, was it?
Yeah, it's Brownsville, Oregon. But Brownsville, Oregon is the spot of the train scene where they're on that train trestle, and they're worried about crossing it, and then the train comes and they're running. I think there's a geocache here there because I watched a geocaching video where there was, of course, a geocache at that spot. So I'd love to visit that. I think you visited this spot in Forrest Gump.
Yes, I did.
This beautiful place out in the middle of nowhere in Utah where he's running across the country, and then he stops and he says the famous line, "I think I'll go home now.
I'm a little bit tired."
That's the one. I'm a little bit tired.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Mate, I'm telling you, that spot is absolutely stunning. It is in Utah, and it is a straight line going down. You see the monoliths in the background. There is a lot of parking area off to the side on each side of the road. There is people all over the road all the time. So if you're just driving, there's no one local that drives past, but still, people just literally, you know what people are like, Josh? They don't care about some other people. So they just want to get the shot. And so they'll
Oh, of
stand in the
course.
middle of the road and they don't move for the cars even. I'm like, come on, people, just get your shot and go. But, some
That's
people are
funny.
doing dances. Some people are trying to do the run up and then they do the stop and they try and reenact the entire scene. And of course, yeah. But all I did was I got a quick photo, Josh. And then I did a top and bottom photo. So I did the top of the photo was the actual from the film, and then the bottom was the photo that I took. So there you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a beautiful place, the Forest Gump one.
And Utah in general, just a beautiful state.
Again, little 5-star. There's not much around there. There's no actual caches physical, but there's a 5-star adventure lab there as well. Like
there is
5-point adventure lab. Yeah.
Did you do it? Did you do
Yeah,
it?
of course I did. Yeah,
Were they Forrest Gump themed?
Yes, it was. Yeah, it was good. It was good.
I need to go. Okay. I'm jealous. On the same Tom Hanks train, I'm going to stay on that. Have you seen the movie Castaway? Please say yes.
Love Castaway. Okay. Of course.
So at the end of Castaway, he's he's in the middle of the country at a fort. Like there's an intersection in the middle of the road in the country. Yeah. And a woman comes by, or a post woman or something.
Yeah.
And he sees her, like he meets her or whatever right there. And then she heads down the road, and it's kind of like it's like a fork in the road where he has to decide, like, where am I going with the rest of my life or whatever. And it's just this in the middle of nowhere, two country roads that cross. It could be anywhere. Yeah. But this is an actual place in North Texas that you can visit. And it's kind of like the crossroads end of Castaway location.
There you go.
So I think that'd be a cool one to visit. Yeah. One more. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, it happens all the time, Josh. In 90% of these times, there is a cache, a physical cache location there, or a pin or something there to prove to people, like, this is the spot, and it reminds people, like, that's exactly where to go. And again, that's another reason why we love this game. So
one more,
what
Craig.
else you got? Yeah.
One more, because you broke the rules. You broke the rules. You went to the UK.
Where are you going?
This is about the USA. But I'm going to break the rules too. I would love to go to Salzburg, Austria, because that is one of the main areas that they recorded the movie The Sound of Music.
Yes.
And Craig, I've been closer there twice now. When I talked about I took that sleep train? I pretty much took that sleep train. I slept right by it practically.
No.
I know. And I wish
at night, so you wouldn't be able to sleep.
Yeah, I know. I would have had to stop and then get back on the train.
Yeah.
But The Sound of Music is it's a classic movie musical. Julie Andrews. And here's the thing that's funny about it, because I know some people that have taken the Sound of Music tour in Austria. It's mostly loved by Americans.
Yeah, of course.
So, exactly. Yeah, the Austrians, they don't care about Sound of Music for the most part. And so there's actual bus tours where you hop on a bus, and up on the screen they're showing clips of the movie, and then you get out of the bus and you go visit that spot, and in between the different movie locations, it's a sing-along. People are singing along in the bus together, the Sound of Music songs. This is something I want to do. Yeah. I think that would just be beautiful.
Exactly. You would need to take your time too, Josh, because I know you being you enjoy filming yourself reenacting these things. So you would have to be dancing, you would have to be singing, the hills would definitely be alive if you were there. I'll give you the hot tip.
Yes. I just thought of another one, and this is probably my best video on a movie location. Is I actually reenacted all of Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yes, you did.
Yes, the whole thing. Yeah. And here's a fun fact. I went to all the locations, filming locations of the movie. Ferris Bueller in the movie, he does all these things in one day. Well, I found out that you cannot possibly do all these things in one day. It took myself and Tammy 3 days, days to complete Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Wow.
But Craig, please put that video in the show notes. I just watched it last night because one of the locations was the house from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, which I always watch during Thanksgiving time. And it was edited not by me. You'll notice, you're like, wow, the edit's really good here. It was edited by somebody else. And it wasn't even you, Craig. It was somebody else. Me.
This is before BC, before Craig. So
yes, exactly. But yes, And it's so cool because that movie, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, is basically one of the characters of the movie is the city of Chicago. And you get a good sense that there's the Sears Tower, now the Willis Tower, there's the museums, there's Wrigley Field. It's really, I really enjoyed doing all of those locations.
Perfect. Will do, mate. Will do. Emily reached out to us as well, and she spoke about the apps, etc. Now we spoke about this last week in last episode, I should say, but she also uses, now get this, she uses an app called Spot Hero. And it's great. It's great for reserving parking in large areas. She used it, Josh. She used it in DC to make parking a breeze. So there you go. You've got Spot Hero. Check out Spot Hero. She also uses Auto Slash, and that saved her money for car rentals or hire cars. So,
nice.
There you go.
So our patrons are now answering questions.
Yes.
For other patrons. I love our community that we're creating here.
Exactly. All right, mate. Moving on. Andy Zook and Mel Stowe, both of these patrons as well, reached out and had another question in regards to cruise ships. Have we been on any cruise ships? Now, good Andy question. Took a European cruise and visited 6 countries, finding caches at every single stop. What are your experiences? Maybe reach out to Denise Canavan. We have to speak to Denise Canavan, who runs caching cruise trips at geocaching-adventures.llc.com. So we might have to speak to her and see if we get her on the show one time too, Josh.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Cruising, Josh, have you done it?
I have not. I want to, though. I really, really want to. My wife took her first cruise last year, and now she's taking another one this year because she enjoyed it so much. And she was skeptical about cruising, but she really, really enjoyed it just because it's like super stress-free, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they give you everything you need. You can just relax, and then I think. I've never taken a cruise, but what I've heard is like there's this like sense of when you're on the ship, everything's taken care of you, very relaxing. Food, there's lots of stuff to do, but then the adventure kind of can begin on the excursions. And with geocaching, of course, like Andy, 6 countries. That's 6 so cool. He got 6 souvenirs for that. That's really cool. So this is something I want to do. Craig, I know that you have done it.
Yes. I've only done it twice. I've done it once years and years ago, 20 plus years ago in Australia before my geocaching time. And that was a really nice cruise. That was a very similar, it's like the cruise you see from Florida cruises. It was hot weather. It was nice seas. We did some hop off on islands, and we did some snorkeling, etc., around some islands. And so it was one of those type of cruises. But I've also done the Alaska cruise as well, an Alaskan cruise.
Yes.
Now, this Alaskan cruise is absolutely incredible. First and foremost, though, you get into a dome roof train from Anchorage all the way up to Denali. So the dome roof train, Josh, you can actually see outside, and you can see the non-existent wildlife. We didn't see any bears. We didn't see any moose. We didn't see anything at all traveling up through Alaska. But anyway, you get up to Denali, and we stay in Denali overnight as well. And then you get the bus back down to Whittier. And then it was 10 nights cruising from Whittier to Vancouver. And that stops in places called Skagway, Junee, and Ketchikan as well. Those places, the way you stop, land tours, incredible. Absolutely. Yeah. I did a photography tour at one stop. I did like a walking food tour at another stop where I made this beautiful salmon roe stuff. Like, it was delicious. And then one of the other ones as well, I think this was one back in Ketchikan, they have the Axeman show, Josh. Now, after seeing you throw an axe, because they asked for volunteers from the audience to join in axe throwing too. You would be ideal. You would win that hands down. The little axe show that they do, but they do a full axe show as well, and they teach you about back in the day when there used to literally be a lot more logging people and a lot of axemen around, and how they used to log, and then they play the different logging games, etc. as well. And you sit on one side, you go for Team Red or Team Blue or blah blah blah. So it's a lot of fun. So Alaskan cruises. So there you go.
Yeah. That wasn't a geocaching cruise. That was just like a
No.
regular cruise for you.
Regular cruise, yeah, regular cruise.
But you, I mean, yeah,
Although,
yes.
at some places there, when you go through like Glacier Bay, because you actually go up to Glacier Bay, and as you go up the bay itself into this sort of like a dead end area, it's literally just all water. There's not one but two glaciers, Josh. One coming down one side, one coming down the other side. The
Oh,
boat
yeah.
stops because it can't go any further, and then the boat 360 around and around and around, really, really slow. So you can
Mhm.
literally just stay on your own deck and you'll see one glacier, then you'll see the next glacier, and it just goes around like a 360-degree view. So you can just sit there in the boat where you are. You don't have to go from one side of the boat to the other. And it just shows you around. And of course, there's not one but two earth caches there. See? So yeah, there is earth caches along all the glaciers and stuff as well. So it wasn't a geocaching trip, but did I get geocaches while I was on the trip? Yes, I did. So
I've heard that on these Alaskan cruises that people can essentially do earth caches from a hot tub.
yes, you
You
can.
can be on a deck in a hot tub,
Yep.
passing glaciers.
Glaciers, so literally from one extreme to another. You're doing a glacier earth cache from the hot tub
Mhm.
of a pool. So yeah, it's really, really nice. So
You
there
know,
you go.
this brings up a very interesting question that I
Hmm.
have for the patrons or anybody that's listening to this.
Yeah.
This is something that I want to do. It is on my bucket list.
Mm.
My wife is taking cruises with her friends. I want to take a cruise with my friend, See My Shell,
Oh.
Craig. So I'm wondering, I think
Mm.
maybe we should contact Denise
I think
Canavan.
so. I think so.
And would you be interested, listeners, in a Treasures of Our Town sponsored trip where you would go with
Oh,
us on a
yes.
geocaching trip? Because I've heard of Denise before. She
Yes.
literally plans these. She makes you're joining a cruise ship with there's other cruisers. They're not
Hmm.
obviously you're not going to fill a whole boat full of
Yeah.
geocachers,
No.
but she plans it, and she plans it around the
Hmm.
places, the excursions that geocachers would want to visit. And so I'm just
Yes.
curious, we should maybe, Craig, look into this.
Hmm.
And because I would love just to take a cruise, just you and I doing this,
Yeah.
but maybe we could bring some listeners along with us, a dozen,
Sounds
10. If
sounds
that's
like a
something that
great
you
idea.
would be interested in, if you'd be interested in hanging out with us, you'd be hanging out with us for, I don't know, a week or so. And you know what would
Mhm.
be really fun if we did something like that? We could actually do a live show as a part of the
Yes.
cruise on the cruise ship.
Oh,
And we could have,
absolutely.
even if it's just like five, I mean, I'm dreaming small. Okay.
Yeah.
5 people other than us, 7. I think maybe 12 would be great because it's like the
Mhm.
12 disciples, like that's a good
Oh,
number.
look at you.
Uh, but Craig, do you think this would be something that could happen?
100%, 100% absolutely can happen. I mean, if you think about it, if our good friend Scott Burks over at the Geocaching Podcast can organise a turkey trip during
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, going across the ET Highway, then we can organise this, Josh. Surely.
Yeah, it'll be a little bit more expensive probably than the ETI way, but hey, but
Yes.
there are probably other geocachers like us that have
Mhm.
wanted to do it, and I just
Yeah.
think doing it with other people. And here's the cool thing, like, I'm sure there'll be parts where we will meet all together and
Mhm.
socialize, but then there's a lot of parts of cruises that you can just do things on your own too, so
Absolutely.
you wouldn't necessarily be stuck with us the whole
No,
time.
no.
Although we're pretty fun to travel with. I mean, after all, we have a travel podcast.
This is true. This is true. And if you don't believe us, you can just ask our good friend Tim as well, Minnesota boy.
Exactly.
He'll be able to vouch for us. So there you
Yeah.
go.
So
Very cool.
Craig, I'm thinking something. I have been to Alaska, so I don't know if I want to do
Yes.
that again.
Yeah. No.
I'm thinking something tropical. I'm thinking
Mhm.
something warm. I'm thinking maybe Bahamas type,
Oh.
one of those where you can hit several,
Yeah.
several islands.
Yes.
And I'm from Minnesota. I want to get somewhere warm. So, but
Exactly.
I'd be open to other things. So
There you go.
we're gonna talk. We're gonna talk to Denise
We'll
and just
talk.
see
We're going to talk
what
to
she
Denise
can.
and keep you all posted. And obviously, you're going to get her on the show as well after we've organised
Oh
things
yeah,
too. So that's
for
absolutely
sure.
that's a 100% tick. So from there, meanwhile, just we've got also the happy hodag Christopher.
Yes.
He messages now. This is geocaching. Back to geocaching. He said, "What is your favourite or most memorable place you've discovered because of geocaching?" So
Yeah.
that was I think this is a good question. It raises the point because we always say, one of our favorite things about geocaching is the places it takes you, the locations. He's asking you, what's your favorite?
Mhm.
So there you go.
Well, that's interesting because I really tried to think about this question from two angles. Number one, I mean, I've discovered a lot of places through geocaching.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering, I answered this like an area that I wouldn't have gone, and I almost discovered like by accident.
Yeah.
Because something geo-related was there. So I know the Happy Hodak, he's from Wisconsin. So Waukesha, Wisconsin. I was just doing some caches right before the West Bend Cache Bash, and I was in Waukesha because there were some highly favorited caches there. And there was I had some time to kill, and I noticed there was a adventure lab, and I discovered it was an adventure lab about Les Paul. Do you know who Les Paul is?
Les Paul, no.
He is the inventor of Les Paul, the famous Les Paul guitars.
Okay.
It's a very famous. It's a very famous guitar. Well, Waukesha, I found out, is actually his hometown. So it was a 5 stages. It took me through this lovely little town of Waukesha, and of just kind of through his life. I would have no idea about this town, and there was like a festival happening when I was there. It was a big party, and it was just surprising. And I would not have discovered this little town, and I wouldn't discover that this was like the Les Paul, the home of Les Paul, the famous Les Paul guitars. So that was one that came to mind that I've never, and also I'm trying to focus on things I haven't really talked about on this podcast.
Yes.
How about you?
Me personally, it's one location, that is Thermopolis in Wyoming, a little town in Wyoming, literally the middle of Wyoming. Is a place called Now, I was there because of geocaching, and I was there because a good friend of ours as well, Smile Makers, Dave, at the time he lived in Thermopolis, and so I was meeting up with him, and also obviously geocaching at the time too. So that's the reason why geocaching brought me to Thermopolis. I wouldn't have gone there otherwise. Now, this place for me personally, it's all about that small little hometown feel. But at the same time, you've got the open space of Wyoming. You see, there's not that many people there, Josh, like in terms of the actual town numbers themselves. Now, also, I love hot spring. You know me, I love a good bath. You know me and my absolute. I love a good soak. I could soak, Josh, for 2 or 3 hours in a bath easily.
Turn into a prune.
Speaking of which, I'll be doing that after we record. But anyway, getting back on track, and that is there's Hot Springs State Park is there, whereby you can literally have your dip in and out and everything else as well. But I've also now. I've got an earth cache there too, Josh, because I loved it that much. You see, so I've now got an earth cache there. The earth cache talks about the minerals that form through these spouts of the underground tunnels. There's the Wind River Canyon there, Josh. Now, the Wind River Canyon literally was a canyon that was developed from wind and river, so erosion. When I first got there, it was going on dusk, and Smile Makers was there. I was there with him and another guy as well. And he said, look at your app, Craig. And I looked around and I went, oh, there's an FTF up here. He goes, yes, there is. He placed it there, you see, just for us. But Josh, it was a 4.5 terrain.
Oh my
we
gosh.
had to scale halfway up the actual embedded cliff face with no ropes or anything at all at dusk in order to get the ammo can. So that was one of those. It's one of those things, Josh, that will always in my mind stick with me throughout my entire life. I hopefully, you know what I mean. It's one of those experiences that you have in life whereby I remember that. That was a good time. That was a great time. So yeah, that's mine, Josh, is the Thermopolis in Wyoming. Do you have any more?
Yeah, another one that came to mind was in Minnesota. We have a city called Alexandria, Minnesota. And I knew about the town Alexandria, but I had not really spent much time there. And there's you know how I love the big things, right? Yeah. There's a big statue of the world's largest Viking, Big Ole.
Oh.
And so I was like, I got to visit Big Ole because it's a virtual.
Yeah.
So I visit Big Ole, and then I realized that there's a museum next to Big Ole. And the museum is about it's about this years ago, like in the 1900s, some farmer unearthed this old relic, and this old relic had Viking writings on it in the middle of Minnesota. Vikings, okay. And and they were like, these were Vikings writings, and they were like, oh my gosh, Vikings visited Minnesota before anything, long, like we're talking, I think the 800s or something like that.
Before any part of the British.
Yeah. And the theory is now it's contested because they think it might be a hoax. Right?
Oh, yeah.
It's still contested.
Yeah.
Because they've carbon dated it and all, it goes all back and forth. Anyway, but it showed this museum was all about this thing that a guy found in a field in the middle of Minnesota. And the theory is that the Vikings went through the Great Lakes and followed the rivers all the way to this spot in the middle of Minnesota. And for some reason, some of them like visited there.
Stopped there and
it was just
let's leave our mark.
Yeah, fascinating history, or I don't know, could have been fake news from the 800s.
either way, it's good to know. It's good to know. So
yeah, but it was fascinating. I would, I love my museums and just learning about the fact that the Vikings were here probably before any of us were here.
Yeah,
it was fascinating. Alexandria, Minnesota, beautiful little town.
There you go. Do you have any more, or can we move on? Because we've got one last.
Yeah, let's move on.
Let's move on. Let's move on. Last, but definitely not least, Jamie, the Motorimba man. He's replied again. He's asking, and I thought we'll leave this one because it's a good one. It's a quick one. He says, any crazy challenge geocaches that you've done or you haven't done but would like to that require traveling of some sort. For instance, he completed the 9-state challenge, GC4 PZCK, where you must visit 9 different states in 24 hours, 9 states in 24 hours, and find at least one cache in each state. At the same time, Josh, he did the 24-hour challenge, which is GC 3DY2A, which requires at least one cache every hour for 24 hours.
I wonder how many naps he took during that.
I know. I mean, look, let's be honest. A lot of these geocaching is different. This is where geocaching is different to Munzie, is because it is more reliant upon honor system. You don't have, whereas Munzie, you literally have to be in that location at that time to cap it, and that it's logged at that time and location. Whereas, the geocaching is more honor system wise. But have you done anything like that, Josh, in terms of like traveling challenge caches of sorts?
So I'll just say I'm not a big challenge cacher. I'm just not, because a lot of them involve like numbers, and I'm not a big numbers guy.
Yeah.
However,
unless the numbers are favorite point numbers, then you're a big numbers.
This is true. Or souvenir numbers. Souvenirs collected. Yes, that's important to me. We all have our things we love. Anyway, I started geocaching in 2008. So around 2009, there was a challenge of 100 caches. Now, this isn't going to sound, Craig, this is not going to sound like very difficult. But in 2009, this was very challenging. 100 geocaches. Yeah, 100 geocaches in 3 states in 24 hours. This is a challenge that the first time I attempted it. So I tried Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa. Yeah. The first time we attempted this, we failed.
How could you fail that?
Failed.
How?
Because we ran out of time. We found a lot of caches in like the Minnesota area. We strapped bikes to the back. You got to remember, like, this isn't, there weren't even, I didn't even have any power trails.
Yes.
So we were just finding random parks that had like five caches each. Yeah. And then once we hit like 75 caches, we bolted for Wisconsin, found like 1 or 2 Wisconsin. And then we had to bolt to Iowa. So, this challenge that Jamie's talking about, 9 state challenge in 24 hours, like that's way easier on the West Coast. Yeah. The East Coast, not West Coast. East Coast than it is in the Midwest. So I failed this challenge. This challenge, and we didn't get 100. So I did it again, like a couple years later, and we completed it.
Well, I mean, on the East, Josh, you could literally do New Jersey, Delaware, West Virginia. That sort of, you could do that in an hour. You could do 4 in Pennsylvania. You can do Pennsylvania, Delaware, and New Jersey literally in 5 minutes. To be honest with you, right. So right on the corner of it. So there you go. Mine was back in Australia. Mine is GC6VF7W. I had to look it up. It is now archived because the owners have moved. But it's called the Australia All Over Challenge. Now, when this first came out, it was basically find one cache in every single state or territory of Australia, and there's 8. And Australia's the same size as the US, but find one cache in every single state and territory in 1 calendar year when it first came out. The reviewer didn't realize at the time, and people who complained, whatever, as they do. And apparently it wasn't allowed to be a time constraint on it. So they couldn't do it in one calendar year. So they've changed it up, and they said, every state and territory in Australia. But what they did, Josh, for those of us who want that challenge still, that in one calendar year challenge, they actually did like an honor roll on the cache page. So if you did it and you qualified in that one calendar year, you got on that honor roll. Josh, I am on that honor roll. I'll just say. Now, there's 24 people on that honor roll in 5 years. So that's how quite difficult it is too. So only 24 caches in 5 years that was out are on that honor roll. So
that's got to be tough.
So there you go. Yeah.
I have an idea for a challenge cache. You ready for it?
Yeah.
So there's a virtual cache in Key West. There's that big marker. Have you been down to Key West, the big marker, which is the most southern?
I haven't been down there, but I've seen several photos and videos. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a marker that marks this most southern spot of the contiguous, the 48 states.
Yeah.
Because I believe Hawaii is actually farther south than that. But, and obviously Alaska is farther north.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a marker there. It's been a virtual that's been there for a long time. Well, recently now, there is now a virtual that is marking the most northern spot in the contiguous 48 states.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, Craig, because the markers they're twins.
The twin markers.
They look the same. I think they're a little different colors, but they look the same.
Yeah.
So somebody hit a virtual there.
Mm-hmm.
All right. This is a challenge for our listeners. Wouldn't it be cool to have a challenge where you have to find that most southern one and the most northern one, and then somebody puts a challenge cache that is directly in between the two of them,
right in
like
the middle,
the halfway point, between them. Wouldn't that be a good idea for a challenge?
Absolutely, and and do it in 24 hours. You have to do that in 24 hours. Find both in 24 hours.
You could do it. You probably have to fly.
Oh yeah, you'd have to fly. Absolutely have to fly. No, you couldn't do it with a time frame anymore now. So you can't do things with time frames like that, unfortunately, anymore.
But yeah, I think that would be a interesting challenge to do.
But right in the middle makes sense.
Yeah. Any of you out there, it might exist already, but any of you out there, you can steal the idea, make it happen.
Make it happen. Well, you could only make it happen if you lived directly in the middle of between the two. That's the only time you could actually do it, because you have to maintain the cache, Josh. You can't live too far away from where you hide a cache. So
find
somebody
that lives close to it too.
Find a farmer of some sort. Can we hide this? Can we hide this ammo can in your field, please, sir?
Yeah, it's probably in the middle of like the Appalachian Mountains or something.
Exactly. We're gonna have to look. We're gonna look after this episode. We'll give you that. Meanwhile, Josh, we're gonna end it there. That was our last question. So that was good. Did you enjoy this patrons? Yeah.
I enjoyed the beautiful smell, the beautiful potpourri of questions.
Potpourri, exactly. Meanwhile, Josh, we are always looking for questions. We're looking for thought ideas in terms of shows, etc. How can people reach out to us if they've got an idea for a show or a thought process, or even just a normal question?
Yeah, they can reach out to us at treasuresofourtownpodcast@gmail.com. You can reach out to us there, or you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, X, or YouTube. So you can reach out to us in any of those locations.
Exactly. Or Josh, if they want to be like inside the loop, the inner circle, as Scott Burks likes to say, how can they become one of our patrons as well?
Yes. This podcast is completely patron supported. So we really appreciate all the support of our patrons. So if you're interested in joining us, and maybe, I don't know, maybe you get inner details about our future cruise. Yeah. You might know about our cruise. You might be able to sign up for our cruise before anybody else. I'm totally just making stuff up right now. I don't know.
I know.
But that could be. If you want to support us, and we also provide like hidden nuggets, hidden treasures that are only for our patrons. So you can consider following us or supporting us at patreon.com/treasuresofourtown.
So that's our show for today. Please subscribe, rate, and review on your favorite podcasting app. And again, Josh, as always,
may your travels always lead you to the most unexpected and amazing hidden gems around the world. See you next time, everybody. Stay warm. Stay warm.
Bye. Josh. You didn't get it in.
I know. I know. You didn't even give me a hint during the podcast.
You watched Planes, Trains, and Automobiles last night on Thanksgiving.
I did.
You shared it. You shared it, Josh, with your fans, etc. on Instagram stories. I reshared it on Treasures of Our Town. You didn't get it in.
But guess what? It is in because you're going to put this segment in the podcast. Will you do that for us at the end?
Do that. I'll not do it I'll do it for you, Josh. I'll do it for you. So if you're still listening to this, then you're one of the very few that listened to the episode all the way through.
Yeah. And you know, I'm proud of my town. Craig's proud of his town because you know what? That's a rare thing these days. It's a damn rare thing these days.
Thanks for listening, guys. You did. Bye.